Why a shocking number of crazy sounding right wing conspiracy theories turn out to be true. A lot of the things that I say, especially on my old page, my old channel, um, I said I was basically some of the first people to talk about those things and end up getting strikes for it. Y'all know what I'm talking about, and I end up losing my whole channel because I read studies and I report what I read, and it's before it become mainstream, and places like YouTube and stuff don't really like those things, and I lost my old channel because of it. But a lot of stuff that they call theory, in theory, the word theory, it doesn't mean what you actually think it means. And we'll break that down, and we'll talk about some of the conspiracy theories that actually turned out to be true. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store, where I will not comply t-shirts as well. So check out my t-shirts. All right, let's talk about this news. First, I wanted to start off by defining conspiracy theory. What is a conspiracy theory? What does it mean? We know it was the term has been demonized. They used it way back on JFK, and they used it under a lot under Bill Clinton. They weaponized, really weaponized the term under Bill Clinton, conspiracy theory, because it's people that come out with and a lot of the stuff they call conspiracy theory turned out to be true, and that's why they demonize you for it. Because if it wasn't true, they would be like, oh, it's just some crackpot, and they leave it alone. But they literally demonize people for some of the theories and the conjecture they come up with, and a lot of it is based on fact. So let's define conspiracy theory first. A theory that explains an event or set of circumstances as the result of a secret plot by usually powerful conspirators. Okay. Also, a theory is certain that a secret of great importance is being kept from the public. So that is the definition of a conspiracy theory. So, in the World Economic Forum, governments around the world and the mainstream media are sounding an alarm in Davos about crazy sounding right wing conspiracy theories. That's why we're talking about this topic. And it's easy to see why conspiracy theories are prima facie silly. The boring truth is that people and institutions are terrible at keeping secrets. And yet, a shocking number of crazy sounding right wing conspiracy theories have recently turned out to be true. Again, a lot of this stuff I've covered before. For instance, the World Economic Forum really does exercise a creepy influence over world leaders, and it really does want a great reset, whereby we'll collectively move to living in low energy, high density, and low privacy environments, having less physical wealth, and yes, eating insects for protein instead of meat. They openly he openly admit this. This is what they want. Klaus Schwab openly talks about this. The FBI really did spy on Donald Trump campaign, run brief and leak operations, and spread misinformation about the extent of Russian election interference in ways that led nearly all of the media platforms and Democrats to believe that Hunter Biden's laptop was fake, and anyone who talked about it is a conspiracy theorist, and in a way that may have constituted election interference. And now even those 50 something intelligence officers that came out about the Hunter Biden laptop, they admit they knew it was real from the beginning too. They even admitted they knew it wasn't Russian disinformation. Facebook and Twitter really did censor accurate COVID information at the behest of the White House and Twitter, and operate secret blacklists to censor the censor and deplatform disfavored voices and opinions, even when their own internal team said the people being censored had not actually broken any of the platform rules. These are some things that was conspiracy theories that turned out to be true, and a lot of this stuff I've covered this stuff to ad nauseum. The people who allege that the above were and remain conspiracy theories say the World Economic Forum is just a gab fest. The FBI was simply doing what bipartisan majorities in Congress and the president agreed was necessary after Russian election interference on the 2016 elections, and government officials and social media executives were doing the best they could with the information they had during a fast moving pandemic where millions of lives were at stake. But if the World Economic Forum is a gab fest, it is also including, in its own opinion, enormously powerful, with its founder Klaus Schwab playing a monstrously large role within the G20 organization of world leaders. Russian influence over the 2016 election was massively overstated, and the FBI went far beyond what Congress and the president asked, and appears to have carried out and orchestrated a campaign to deliberately misinform the media and social media platforms about the Hunter Biden laptop, which it had in its possession. Again, this is stuff that I was like one of the first people to actually talk about and was called a conspiracy theorist. All this stuff is fake, it's not real. And while Monday morning quarterbacking on COVID often goes too far, it's also the case that Twitter and Facebook censor qualified people who were expressing a reasonable point of view about the vaccines and suppress factually accurate vaccine information. I'm not going to get too deep into that because we know what happens when I do. But I've covered a lot of this stuff, on my Patreon that I got booted from YouTube for. I covered it on my Patreon where I was freely to talk about this stuff, and all this stuff that I covered, all the journals that I went over and talked about, it all turned out now it's all mainstream, and mainstream media is covering this stuff now. A lot of the stuff that I talked about. What's more, all of the above raise significant concerns about the current state of Western democracy. A rich, secretive, and unelected person, Klaus Schwab, is exercising a weirdly large influence over world leaders on the left and right, from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. I think I pronounced his name right. I'm not sure. The FBI, the most important law enforcement organization in the world, is under the control of people who have shown great comfort in abusing the warrant process, leaking to the press and influencing journalists and social media executives in what appears to be deliberate influence operations known as IOs, and which used to be known as psyops. And I've covered psychological warfare and stuff like that before. We used to do it in other countries. Now our own government is turned psyops against us, we the people. And everybody from Davos to the White House to the mainstream corporate news media are using claims of disinformation and misinformation, whether coming from Russians, 4chan, or Harvard professors, as excuses to censor social media platforms. Now when I hear misinformation and disinformation, that makes me want to look into it more. It makes me want to do my own due diligence to see if this is really misinformation or disinformation. Because I found that 9 times out of 10, crazy, right? But 9 times out of 10 is really not misinformation, it's disinformation. It's just someone trying to cover it up. Why is that exactly? Why do so many crazy sounding right-wing conspiracy theories turn out to be true? And why are the elites behaving so undemocratically? The control of publicly available information over the last 10 years by WEF, the White House, and intelligence agencies, including the FBI, has been remarkable. Cushy gab fests like the ones in Aspen and Davos are effective in making journalists subservient to elites. I mean, they grovel at their feet. It's disgusting. The ability of government agencies like the White House and the FBI to abuse their power is particularly strong when they have the support of the majority of the public, as was the case with COVID and with those who support hover between just 35 and 45%, and the centralization of power in a small number of social media sites, mostly Facebook and Twitter, created an opportunity to bully politicians and government officials to deprive hundreds of millions of people of true information and feed them false information. But all of all of the above are retrograde attempts to put the internet genie back in the bottle and thus doom to fail. The takeover of Twitter by Elon Musk shows how fragile the control of social media platforms was. Musk not only made public just how much control the FBI exercised over Twitter, he also has destroyed the older blue checkmark verification system that biased the whole system toward woke WEF ideology, or what Martin Gurry calls the quote, one sided politics of identity and ecology. And that's a great way to put it. This is it's all again. This is all, that's why the theme, a lot of the stuff that I talk about is about power and control, because that's what they use these platforms for. Is to control the flow of information. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out demarcopublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.